So now we're going to look at fixing color in Photoshop. Go ahead and open up another image. Once again, you get that tab at the top. So this picture is a little bit small, so I'm just going to zoom in a little bit just to get a better look and feel for it. So with this image, the color is not very accurate. It has a very yellow golden tinge to it. So depending on the type of lighting that you're shooting at, you might get a different color light as being prominent. If you're shooting when the sun is rising in the morning, typically you'll have a lot more yellows and reds. If you're taking pictures when the sun is setting, you might have more of the pinks and blues. Fluorescent lighting, tungsten lighting, those will all give you different types of colors as well. So to fix this, you can easily do it in Photoshop. So I'm going to start by making a copy of my background. Clicking, dragging it to the folded up square. Okay, I'm going to make sure that I'm clicked on background copy. Now I'll be able to go and start to edit my colors. So for this, it is an adjustment up in the adjustment toolbar area. It looks like a scale, and when you hover over it, it has color balance. So you'll click on that, you'll see a new layer pop up and a new tab. So when you're working with color balance, you'll be working with different tones: middle tones, highlights, and shadows. So at the top of the window, you have tone, and then this is where you can kind of toggle between shadows, midtones, and highlights. I suggest starting off with the midtones and then working your way through the other two. So below it, you have three different bars of color. We have cyan and red, magenta, green, yellow, and blue. And these colors are opposite each other in terms of digital colors. So once again, we have the little sliders. Photoshop is all about their sliders. So when you click and drag on a slider to one side, so right now I'm pushing it all the way into red, you can see that my image got a lot more red. If I move it into cyan, it becomes a lot more cyan. Okay. And then magenta, green, blue, yellow. So when you're doing your color adjustments, you're very rarely going to go to an extreme one side. And it really does take a little bit of time to kind of figure out what colors to go with. But looking at this image in particular, because it has a lot of that yellows and reds, I'm probably going to shift more into the cyan, green, and blue in my midtones. So I'm just going to move the slider over a little bit, and my green over a little bit, my blue over a little bit. You can already see that the colors are starting to become a little more natural. Once again, we do have the eyeball to toggle, so I'll click that off, and you can kind of see the before and after. Before, after. So the wall's starting to get a little bit less of that yellowish tinge. The wooden floor and the wood in the chair and the cabinet are starting to become a little more true to life. Next, I'm going to go into highlights. Once again, I'm going to shimmy it into cyan a little bit of the green, a bit more of the blue. And it's slowly but surely getting a little bit better. I'll go back into highlights or shadows, and then turn those a little bit. And you might not need to change the colors all that much. A little bit can go a long way. So you really just have to trust your eye and see what works best. So I'll usually rotate through the three once and then go back and go through them one more time. Because as you start to adjust the shadows, the highlights, your midtones might need to be readjusted a little bit. Just tweak it a little bit more. Now, if you have objects in your image that should be pure white, those are really good to look at for trying to get your colors accurate. And you might not be able to get your image perfectly color balanced, but as long as it looks a lot more true to life, then you will be in good shape. So we can see the before, the after. So not perfect, but a lot better than what we started off with. Hopefully all of your images will not need a lot of editing, especially if you're shooting outside under the sun. You should have pretty good colors to start off with.